plus random movie reviews, a podcast where we take a random movie from Metacritic's all-time movie list. This is Colin.
This is Niall.
This is random movie 1106, The Wrong Man from 1957. Running time 105 minutes, directed by one Alfred Hitchcock.
Never heard of him.
No, never heard of him. Writers Maxwell Anderson, who wrote All Quiet on the Western Front, and Angus MacPhail, who didn't write All Quiet on the Western Front.
Certainly did not.
No. Budget was 1.2 million. Box office is data not readily available. So,
fair enough.
Yeah. I don't think it was too popular, but who knows? Metacritic score of 81 and a meta user score of 7.4. So critics liked it, users a little less likability.
Yeah, I think this kind of has gone under the radar for an awful long time because most of Hitchcock's stuff is very well known, and this is a title I'd never heard of before.
Never heard of it, and the random universe throws us a Hitchcock movie that is probably one maybe of his weakest ones, perhaps.
Possibly.
Bernard Herrmann did this music for this, and he did all the famous ones, Psycho and The Birds and Citizen Kane.
This is the most forgettable from the music point of view as well, I guess because it's real life.
Yeah, so there's a kind of a motif of his music. I think it's like two notes. I couldn't recreate it now, but it's like a two note sort of recurring musical motif he does throughout the movie. A little bit of bass, yeah. Yes, as you said, it is based on the real life story of Christopher Emmanuel Manny Balestrero,
aka Lucky,
aka Manny.
Yeah.
So basically, he got identified by two blind women in a insurance agency to be a guy who had recently robbed them twice. And so he got put away or got put to trial. And
some stellar police work as well as part of his conviction. Like
weird.
Yeah,
it's so bizarre. So he they found that he was on holiday for one of the dates, and then he had a swollen jaw from a tooth issue the other date, and then he got acquitted, and then he sued, I think, the city or whatever for $500,000 and ended up with $7,000, which barely covered the cost of his wife's
incarceration in an institution for well, she lost the plot, deservedly so, considering she thought that the world was just going to crush her regardless of what they did.
Yeah, she's got a pretty rapid decline in the plot in this movie. I don't know how it happened in real life, but unfortunately real life doesn't follow Hollywood, and she basically remained in her institution.
I liked the end where it gives a blurb at the end. It says, she was in the institution for 2 years. So I like it's not Hollywood ending. And he goes in with the newspaper and say, hey, I've been acquitted. And she's like, yeah, that's great for you. Bye.
But it is a Hollywood ending. I hated the dialogue that pops up. It's like, 2 years later, Rose walked out completely healed, and they went to Miami to live happily ever after. That didn't happen in real life. She stayed in the institution.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Sorry, I didn't Google her. So she stayed there forever. The end. Oh, that's grim.
I believe it wasn't. She never got recovered. Even if she was let out, she never recovered.
Yeah, $7,000 for the amount of damage done.
Injustice.
That didn't even cover the bail. Bail was $7,500.
Injustice.
Yeah, a lot of people in the reviews I read of this said this is the scariest of all Hitchcock's movies because of how messed up it is.
One of many millions of miscarriages and misjustice.
Yeah.
Henry Fonda plays Manny Balestrero. How do you rate him in this movie?
I think his face does a lot of heavy lifting. He doesn't have a lot of dialogue, so it's all with his face. I think he does an okay job. Considering he's playing an average schmo with little in the way of charisma, to be honest, it's hard to be forget or unforgettable. It is forgettable because he's an average schmo. So he plays it well, but that kind of doesn't help the movie.
Yeah, he's subdued. He does a lot of facial expressions, and obviously he's a very...
Bewilderment is the primary one that I can think of looking back at it.
bewildered. Yeah, and he just sort of, when he gets sort of brought into the cop shop, he's very just, he doesn't yell or scream or react
He clenches his
crazily.
fist once. I remember that. So
Why
I'm going to
you?
clench my fist. Okay, now that's past.
Yeah, but I never like Hitchcock's a very good cinematographer and director of cinematography, but I don't know in his scripts does he ever really evolve the character building, especially with Manny here. Just we feel sorry for him, but we never really feel the turmoil.
Yeah, if I'm entirely honest, I found the first half of this movie kind of boring. It's a weird thing to say about a Hitchcock movie. I felt a lot of. It felt grim. It felt depressing, and I suppose there was some tension. And I did feel uncomfortable, but I was also not
Were you sitting
entertained.
comfortably?
I had a cushion under my ass. It was very comfortable, but the movie made me feel like squirmy. Aside from that, I didn't particularly enjoy myself in the first half of the movie. It gets a little bit more interesting in the second half. Where the court case kicks off and
It's a
they go a bit investing. But I was kind of annoyed by some of the facts. If it's based on real life, where they have to go investigate their own case, that's
yeah.
felt weird, possibly wrong.
Yeah, it's underwhelming for most of the movie. For a Hitchcock movie, it's obviously quite subdued. Henry
No
Fonda
jump
is quite
scares.
subdued. No jump scares, no real. You're waiting for the big twist. Like I'm going, okay, the wrong man. Does he have a long lost twin brother?
Is there a
That's
man
what I
with
was
one arm
thinking.
out there? I
Harrison
love the way
Ford
that
pops up.
the actor they have to play the guy who is supposed to look like Manny doesn't particularly look like Manny. He's
No,
got a similar jaw. That's the end of it.
and he wears a trench coat and hat. I was like, that doesn't look like Manny.
That's Danny DeVito. What's going on?
Yeah, it's like two kids in a trench coat, one on top of the other.
Yeah, they could have picked a better actor for that. I think a better lookalike. That was
Yeah,
not a Henry Fonda lookalike.
yeah. Or they could have just got Henry Fonda to play it
Just
and
put
just
on a
did some
different
camera
expression.
tricks. Yeah, just something, just mix them up a little bit, put glasses on or something, and then that could be a good Hitchcockian sort of reveal. And we could be wondering, oh, is that Manny robbing somebody again? But no, it's not. And then we see them in the corridor at the end. One's Henry Fonda and the other's Henry Fonda.
I did like the transition where just before at the end. Now spoilers. The bad guy does it again, but it's Manny's face and it transitions, fades
Mm,
into his face. That's a nice piece, especially for the time. That's a lovely little piece
mm.
of cinematography.
Yeah, for 57.
Yeah, but then while they're doing it, I'm thinking that doesn't look like him.
It's right. It's like they're both superimposed on top of each other and it's going,
It's a great piece of cinematography, but wrong man.
yeah. There's quite a few cinematography choices in this, which is perfect Hitchcock.
Yeah,
When Rose hits him with the hairbrush, he puts a weird face on, and then the mirror cracks and his face cracks, and that's very Hitchcock. Come on.
I very much like that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
But having said that, his little tricks with the camera can't really save this movie
They
from a
don't, they
little
don't really fit
flat.
this movie. Especially that bit where it wobbled the camera around. It's going, "Whoa."
Yeah.
That's the wrong type of movie. I
Comes out of
understand him
nowhere.
spiraling into slightly madness, but this man never hits madness.
No,
Um,
that's the problem.
yeah, it's a real life movie. It's Hitchcock isn't real life. The stuff he does is never real life. It's always the jump scares and the and the mad camera
Yeah.
angles. For this, he's the wrong director, I think.
I didn't pick up on this, but I read that this was Harry Dean Stanton's first movie, and he part of Repo Man, our episode a while back. He plays the Department of Corrections employee, so he's probably one of the cops that brings him in or
Well,
something.
I
But
didn't catch that either. He must be like
no,
2 seconds in.
yeah, he's uncredited. So yeah, it's cool. I think this is one of the only movies that Mr. Hitchcock actually prologues himself. With the usual Alfred Hitchcock presents TV show. He always went, "God, I use your name." Do you have shadows in your house?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do, 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 do,
I
do, do, do,
think that
do,
he
do.
thought it was important to point out that this is a real life story. So please don't judge me so much.
What you're gonna say is real.
Yeah. So
Please
yeah,
enjoy.
it's not that interesting a story, but it is real. So shut up.
Yeah, shut up. Watch on. Yeah, so it's set in 1953, and we have we have text at the end, we've text at the start, and this was and they called him. They gave his full name or Christopher, I don't know. So Christopher, this will be a day that he'll never forget, and
They
that's
call
what
him
we put.
Emmanuel at the start. Emmanuel.
Yeah, he's got a full real
But
name, but
that's
everybody calls him Manny.
yeah. So why just leave it at that? Because it
Christopher
confused me at the
Emmanuel,
start.
and then Balestrero was just so much like Ballesteros. I was like,
Sevi.
yeah, it was just Balestrero, and there's an R after the T, so it's not even Ballestero, it's Balestrero. You have to get your syllables in there.
Canyonero. Yeah,
So Henry
there's a lot.
Fonda plays Manny, who's a double bassist at the Stork Club, which is real. Shot a lot of the scenes were real in New York that they shot in. The Psych Ward was real. The Stork Club was
Prison was
real.
real.
Prison was real. Yeah, and yeah, it's just like the credits roll quite for a long time over this Stork Club, and the time lapse is quite interesting because people leave, and then the stragglers are there, and Chris leaves reading the newspaper in the metro. I thought the guy in the metro was Alfred Hitchcock, but he doesn't do a cameo in this
No,
movie.
no, he
I
just
thought,
does
oh, is
the
that you?
no.
No, he has this little thing, Manny, where he circles the horses which he thinks are going to win, and I thought, okay, is this going to be sort of he's going to get in trouble with the bookies or something?
Exactly
No.
what I thought. Absolutely nothing to do with the movie.
You see, there's lots of these times in the plot where you think, okay, you waggle
So
your fingers and you go, okay, something could happen here that could bring some dodgy people into his
I
normal
thought the
household.
newspaper was going to feed into not the paranoia, but the evidence that the cops are going to throw
So did
against him.
I.
And I thought that would have been interesting, but maybe in real life that didn't happen, so they didn't put it in. Newspaper is irrelevant. It feels like it's important. It's not.
Yeah, because he gets back home, he's got two boys, and his wife is waiting up for him, and she's got wisdom teeth issues. Do you have your wisdom teeth still?
Damn straight. I still got
Yeah,
my $300 in my back pocket.
I haven't had mine taken out yet, but probably because I had a lot of second teeth taken out when I was a kid, because I ate a lot of sweets. Yeah, so they are a family where they don't have a lot of money, and they need money for the wisdom teeth extraction. But she does bring up this. Oh, what are you doing with this horse thingies in the
It's just
newspaper?
a game I play with
Just a game.
myself because I know the party.
Yeah, it's very like actually Hitchcock does a good job with a lot of lighting in the scenes as well. So there's a lot of interesting shading and contrast with the lighting. I just sort of not as good as The Servant or anything, but still
No.
pretty
Well,
decent.
again, as much as you can get away with in a movie of this type, it's real life. That shading and that insanity that's caused by that shading just doesn't fit.
Yeah, yeah. And then things happen in his normal life that don't really carry on ever. The boys, his sons, are playing music, and that doesn't really add a lot to it. They're bickering over each other. So it's a normal sort of brotherly feud, and nothing really happens there either with that sort of little plot.
I think it's just to set the mundanity of his life and how normal he is and how he's not into gambling, he's not into boozing, he's not into anything other than his family life. I think that's kind of what they're trying to set the scene here with, which they achieve, but it's not super interesting.
No, it's not really that interesting. Now that maybe is the problem with most of this movie is that
It's too accurate.
it's too accurate to the guy. He's the real life guy. He was a normal dude who got fingered for something that he didn't do, and shit happened, and he got released, and bye.
Yeah, maybe he shouldn't have tried to borrow money against his wife's insurance policy.
Yeah. Yeah, there is like a psycho connection here when he gets a call from mother,
Yes, exactly what I thought.
mother.
What's that, mother? Killed
What's
them
up,
all?
mother?
Okay.
Stabbed him in the shower. Don't mind if I do. So yeah, so he has agreed to go to the insurance agency and borrow out from his wife's life assurance. So she heads there to the assurance agency, and Miss Dennerly, the lovely girl at the counter, looks up when he comes over.
She looks horrified.
And this is where I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. There's like some sort of weird shit going on here, and
She
he's not
knows him.
reacting. Yeah, she knows him. He has no reaction, but she's like, and there's a close up on her face, just like Hitchcock does. She goes over and starts spreading the word, and everybody's going, "Yes, that's him. He robbed this place
He's
two
definitely
times."
wearing a hat and a trench coat.
Yeah, he's got the hat. He's got the trench coat. It's him.
Boom. Yes, and he would come to borrow money after breaking into not ripping off the place twice in a row. That makes sense.
And his defender never brings that up, going, "Why would he go back after robbing the place twice?"
He's got an account there, so does his wife, and so does his two kids. Why would you rip off a place that you're going to have to go back to?
This never makes sense.
The cops didn't do the first thing and check, does he have an account? His story is bang on. They never check it.
No.
And he never brings it up. And his lawyer never brings it up. And the concept of an alibi isn't brought up till, I think it's like half an hour
Second meeting with his
with
lawyer.
His lawyer, yeah. He doesn't bring it up the first time. It's like,
No.
maybe that's the first. Where were you at any of these occasions? Yeah, I wasn't there. I was off on holidays.
It's off my Holliers.
Not that it helps him any.
No. There's a couple of good shots in the agency when the women are like it shows from over behind the shoulder, the manager is looking over the shoulder at him.
Yeah.
It's Hitchcockian and fine, but you kind of have to do it, or else this would be quite boring. He knows when to do a close up. Hitchcock.
Oh, he does. He's good at grabbing an expression off somebody.
Yeah, it's not a problem. It's bread and butter to him. He visits his parents. They call the home office the insurance agency, and he visits his parents. You kind of see the dad in the window, and you go, "Oh, interesting." Something else a bit weird that the dad is in the window, just present, kind of like Psycho Mother.
Yeah, but window. Unfortunately, not that interesting.
Not that interesting. Basically, the cops pick him up.
Oi, Chris!
Oi, Chris, come on over here, mate.
My name's
so he's in the again. It's Hitchcock, and he hops into the car, and it has he looks at each of the agents, and we have close-ups of them. It's like, okay, setting the scene here.
A bit of tension here. It's been portrayed very well. He looks a bit worried.
Yeah.
2 lads or 3 lads in the car look kind of nonplussed.
Yeah, it's all part and parcel of a night for them. Like, they make him go into 2 places and to walk in and out like a robot. The second place is more interesting because one of the staff members goes, "Can I help you, love?"
Are you from the 11th precinct? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, and the boss goes,
"Take your hat off, walk up and down a bit more, will you?"
Yeah, can you do that one more time?
And the lady's like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
So the other places are not conclusive at all. They're like...
Exactly, yeah. So they bring him back to the cop shop and just they do the whole sort of asking about the insurance and salary and what he's done for loans and stuff. So then we get to the next big thing, and it is printing out the note. So here's the note that the robber handed to the agent. Please just write this out as I'm dictating it to you. He makes him do it twice, and then he makes a typo. I don't know if he did that in real life, but he makes a typo in the end, just like the robber.
It's a bit of a stretch, really. That's conclusive evidence that you're guilty.
Drawer. Yeah, so he lines up, and yeah, Fonda's face during all of this is calm but pleading. He's sort of like pleading for he's innocent. He doesn't have a clue what's going on.
Yeah, he looks worried. He looks confused. He looks like, again, his face is doing all the work. There's very little dialogue to coming out of him, and he's not expressing himself very much. So his face is just, I don't know how he's doing it. He's stressing out on his face, but not
on his face. Face off. It did remind me of his range of faces in 12 Angry Men, but that's dialogue heavy and beautiful.
That's a tour de force from Mr. Fonda there. This far better dialogue. in that. Far better emotions being portrayed. There are emotions.
Yeah, true. They book him in, and the lieutenant is asking him everything. So, what did you make of his age? 38, he says.
38.
I'm like going, there's no way he's 38. So I looked it up, and in the trivia, it was like, when they made this movie, he was 53. So I don't
I
know.
wish at that age that I could pass for 38.
38. Yeah, I was like, there's no way he's 38. And if he is, I'll be more depressed that he's
Yeah, I did
38.
think the scene where he's with his wife, thinking he's a bit old for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so he's in prison for a little bit. He's pacing the cell, and we have that wobbly camera moment, as you already alluded to, and it's okay.
It's
Yeah.
fine. I just don't think it fits this movie.
No, it's a Hitchcockian thing, left out of left field, and it doesn't suit the sort of way of the movie. And I think Hitchcock was he was very respectful of the true story, and that's why he didn't want to do a cameo. But this is a little bit, I don't know. He's pacing up and down, and then
No, the
we
pacing up and
have,
down makes sense. And looking at the
that's
corners of the
fine.
room and looking
Yeah,
at the lock, and he's feeling claustrophobic.
he's looking at the lock. Yeah,
Very good. And then this bit comes in and like, no, he didn't need that. Leave it. He's not on mushrooms.
but see, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing, though. I was waiting for something big and crazy to happen from Mr. Hitchcock, because he's looking over at the lock, and then he walks over with his back to the lock, and we're going, oh, what's going? Is he going to do something here
No.
that we don't know anything about? Maybe he is the robber, and it's going to be a double twist. We're with him, but then
Yeah. We're
it is
always
him
waiting for the
after all.
other shoe to drop, and it never does.
Never does. The interesting thing is, when he gets out the next day, he has stubble. Then when he gets into the he stands up in front of this press release thing, and he doesn't look like he has any stubble. Then when he goes to the courthouse, he has stubble. And so sort of weird stubble continuity stuff there.
They should have just dabbled it on with a pen.
I'm sure that's what it was, actually. He sees his wife, doesn't get the bail, but does get the bail because after we do a long series of shots of him going into prison with
In the
handcuffs.
prison. And there you go.
There you go.
There was a lovely
It's
scene,
weird.
actually, a lovely shot of him. His name's been called out. Balestrero. He sticks his head up to the slit,
Yeah.
and his eyes look super intense. It's great. And then you're out.
So we go through
Right, buddy, you got bail.
I got bail. Yeah, it goes through a lot of there's a lot of process to get into the prison. Like, we focus on the handcuffs, then we focus on shuffling feet, and then we focus on shoes, and then we focus on just other prisoners' faces. And then he goes into the cell, quite narrow, quite confined. The door shuts, and as you
It's
said,
all
that
beautifully
shot
shot.
happens.
Like, it really is beautifully shot. It's a bit prolonged, I suppose, but I think Hitchcock's trying to get people into the mindset of what it's like to be incarcerated.
Don't know. Yeah, we went through that though for really no real big payoff though.
No, because he's out after 10 seconds. Again,
Yeah.
Hitchcock's keeping with the true story, I suppose. So maybe he did get locked up for about 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's like he was handcuffed himself, Hitchcock, by the true
Reality,
story.
yeah.
Yeah. He gets home, and Bob's a good son, isn't he? He goes in and goes, "You're the best dad ever."
That's a nice little scene, I thought. Yeah,
Yeah, it's nice.
it's not going to give you the weepies or anything like that, but it's a nice scene.
No. Yeah, it's fine. It shows you that, as you said earlier, we were getting to see this slice of life at home with the kids. They don't really play much of a role later for the rest of the movie. But
If you think about how damaged the kids are after this shite hawkery, like losing their mum possibly forever.
jeez, not fun, not nice.
Yeah, and then having your dad locked up, and then probably in an awful way. He's probably psychologically damaged as well. Yeah. Sorry, that segue into Jesus.
No, segues are good. We need to sort of explore the rationale and reasoning behind everything. Wifey is still sane at this point and really just goes after Mr. O'Connor, Frank D. O'Connor, a good lawyer. And
She's kind of freaking out, but then she calms herself down and gets on with it.
yeah, and she gets him. She gets his wife, and because of that, they get an
Mrs. the
interview.
Misses. They talk it through, and I think
This is the
that
missus.
lands the
Yeah,
lawyer for him.
yeah. So it's Anthony Quayle, who has been in 2 episodes of movies we've watched already. Name the 2
I can't.
movies. Well, he plays Colonel Brighton in Lawrence of Arabia,
He certainly does, sir. Yes.
and he plays Admiral Wilhelm Canaris in The Eagle Has Landed. So I think he's the most watched actor we have now on our list.
I've got 3 shots of him. I can't remember him. The Eagle Has Landed, to be honest.
No, I think he plays one of the German, obviously with a name like that. Well, they're all German, aren't they? Yeah. So
Well, there's
whatever.
Yanks as well. Some English they're fighting
Couple of them.
against. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so they go into O'Connor, and he just says, "Tell me your life story." And he starts it, and then it fades, and then it slow fades to the end. There's like a slow fade transition.
And that's how I got arrested.
Yeah, and that's how I ended up here today. I thought it might have done something there with some sort of recreation or reacting of things, but
Bit of
did not.
backstory, but I guess his backstory is so boring they didn't bother.
Well, yeah, it's like, yeah, this is how I became a double bassist, the most boring instrument in
Boom,
the.
boom, boom,
Boom, boom, boom, boom, boom, boom. Anyway, it is in this first meeting, I think, where they sort of go, well, he goes, well, what dates did the things happen? What were you doing? Oh, we were on vacation that day. The insurance place was robbed.
This is where the lawyer should do a double take. Like,
Yeah, why are you here? Why are you paying me for
yeah, you
this when
weren't
you weren't even
there.
in?
You
Go to the
have
hotel.
evidence to the contrary.
Yeah. So they go to the hotel and get 2 guys' names, because one other guy was a boxer, and you think, okay,
Interesting.
all right,
Let's
they
have
go.
that.
Let's have some of that. So they go and chase 2 people down. The
Dead.
first guy's dead, played Mr. Lamarche. But then that's weird too, because it's a very Hitchcockian scene, because they go up to the door and there's like 2 giggly girls inside, and you're like going, what's going on here? And then
Not part of the story, unfortunately.
no, they open the door and they're kind of cute and just sort of weird, and just go,
They're
well, he's
dead.
dead. And then they close the door and he just continued to giggle again. I was like, it's kind of a weird presentation of how young girls behave by Mr. Hitchcock, I think. But I don't know why he did it.
Yeah, it's an unusual choice. I don't know. Maybe it felt a bit flat if they didn't do something.
Well, yeah, because it felt a bit like Them, where they're just investigating and interviewing random people, and it wasn't very entertaining.
I guess
They
the process isn't entertaining. We're knocking on doors and asking, "Is Jojo there?" No, he's dead. Oh, bye.
Yeah. Yeah, and the second one, they go to another apartment and knock on the door, and nobody answers. Like, fucking hell, how many doors are we knocking? And then this woman speaks in Spanish. Molinelli is dead, so wife's go.
Muerto. Eh?
So, but this scene is Muerto. I couldn't even hear it when she said Muerto. But this is the scene where the wife suddenly starts to snap and goes, "It's all my fault." She was a good actor up until she went insane, and then she's quite
It's over the top, I'm
cardboardy.
afraid.
She just stares to the side a bit. That doesn't register, like me in real life. Daily.
Staring to the side, that means you're cray-cray.
Yeah. So they're back. Yeah, I haven't been a good wife, she's saying. So they're back at O'Connor's, and Rose is just gone. In the meantime, like, he's been playing in a gig, so it's been like maybe a day, or 2 days, maybe even a week, we don't know.
Yeah.
And they're back at O'Connor's office, and Rose is just gone. So she's rubbing her arm, and O'Connor's like looking at her.
Yeah, O'Connor says something to her. I think he says, like, maybe you should try to get some facts from your side so we can try and, get some details and some names. And she just goes...
Yeah,
she spaces out, starts ignoring everybody, doesn't really listen to anybody.
Yeah, doesn't. No, she's gone. So.
And O'Connor's like, oh,
when she's
see a doctor.
When she's leaving the office, he has a really wooden line. He says, he kind of touches her shoulder or something. I think he says, "We're gonna win this case,
Yeah, it's not a great line.
It's delivered quite badly.
You expect more from somebody who's been in several of our movies already.
Yeah. So then we have a quick bass interlude to show that he's been playing faded into the home, and Rose is sitting up in a chair all night. And we basically are told then in this dialogue that she's been not sleeping for the last 2 weeks. She's fucked. She's catatonic. She's saying, we lock everybody out. We won't leave the house anymore.
Yeah.
And then this is the aforementioned hairbrush attack. Yeah, with the cracked mirror, which is...
Might not have happened in real life, but Hitchcock needed something.
He needed something at this point for something to happen.
Yeah.
There was something wrong with me.
Yeah, she admits there's something wrong and she needs to be institutionalized.
Yeah.
So he goes
we do have a
to
little
doc.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of a Rose focus here, and she goes to the shrink session, and it's like, oh, look, my camera just went all blurry. For those listening, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so it's weird that
It is.
we focus on her now, and then
they're out to get me.
Yeah, and so like the shrink is going to.
Oh, when you said focus, your camera focused. That was cool.
Yeah, when the shrink is like going to Manny. Yeah, she's bonkers. We need to send her away to the institution.
Yeah, and it's the right thing to do, I guess. Although I don't think I'd like to end up in an institution in 1956 or 1953.
It is a little bit, what's the word? Suspiciously, sort of the staff members there are a little bit nefariously.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, sort of.
Kind of like they're probably doing shock therapy and all that crap.
Yeah. Once you go in there, you ain't coming back after shock therapy, baby.
Yeah, there are some good lighting in the shrink session, and also when Manny and her are in the bedroom, there's quite a few angles. She actually gets up at some point from the chair, and there's a good sort of rotation of the camera or something. Something happens, and it's quite well done. Obviously, yeah, some fingerprints of Mr. Hitchcock there. Yeah, so yeah, they have a very bad goodbye. Like he goes, goodbye, Rose.
Ta-ra, Chuck.
Yeah, she just gets led up the stairs.
I'm off.
Away. Yeah. All right, courtroom is like, what the hell happens here?
It feels
quick.
Yeah, I think intentionally because it's kind of relevant. There was a bit in this actually where our friend Anthony Quayle, aka Frankie, was speaking, and the sound quality is crap.
Oh, really? I didn't notice.
Well, maybe just on my recording, but it shouldn't have been bad.
Your VHS tracker was out of.
Yeah. No,
turn that little dial.
Like having like whatever 4K full HD crap, and just one piece, just the sounded crap. Oh, Anthony Quayle has a great voice, so.
He is actually good. I like him. Apart from that one line delivery, I kind of like his cadence is quite good. He's got sort of this. He's not Irish, but he's got a sort of a Irish lilt to his.
He's got a very interesting way of speaking, and pretty much everything he does has that signature to it, which is great.
Yeah, he sort of carries his lines a bit in the movie, and it keeps me engaged with it. But they have all these witnesses up. I like the part of it when we are looking at Manny's reactions, and he's just looking around at other things happening. There's people talking, there's people laughing, people just being nonchalant about his reality of his life, maybe in danger of just going and being in prison. But he's looking around. Everybody's life is just continuing on, but he's stuck here. And I kind of get what Hitchcock was doing there. It was quite well done, well shot.
I love how it falls apart.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Do we have to sit here for all this crap? No, we don't. We're over now. Mistrial. Well done.
Yeah, jury member just stands up and goes,
they have to sit here through all this rubbish. Yeah, he was complaining that Mr. Frank the lawyer was talking about how, basically, addressing one's memory on seeing his face and how could you remember his face properly. That was what he was getting to. But the juror goes, I'm bored.
Idiots.
I'd love if that was real. Well, not for Manny, but...
I don't know if that actually happened. I don't know if that happened in real life. Probably not.
It would be a weird thing to include in a movie if it didn't happen in real life. Because it's such an unusual thing. Yeah, do I have to sit through this? Basically, what he said.
when you Google his real name, really nothing comes up. He doesn't even have a Wikipedia entry about him. This Ballesteros guy, Manny Balestrero. So you
So
don't really know what happened to him, and that really goes to show how little of nothing the story is really. Like
it's not that interesting a story. It is a miscarriage of justice. There's no question
yeah,
about that.
it's so weird. The only weird thing about it is that he was mistakenly identified in a weird situation in broad daylight by two ladies in
Maybe
an
the only
agency.
weird thing about it is that he actually eventually gets off. The
Yeah, I
vast majority
guess.
of these miscarriages
Yeah, I
perhaps
guess.
go under the radar.
Yeah, I think the movies where they spend 10, 20, 30 years in prison and then get a retrial and then they get found innocent are a bit more, there's a bit more meat to the plot line. This one's sort of like a nothing entity plot line.
The only, well, I don't underplay it, but he doesn't spend that much time in prison. He spends seconds.
Yeah,
But
seconds.
his wife ends up losing her sanity, which isn't great,
True,
which is possibly
true.
worse actually. But they don't.
Yeah, and
They don't. As you said, they don't dwell on that very much.
no, you've got a couple of scenes where she goes to the doolally in the bedroom and then we see the shrink session
Yeah,
and that's it. We
and then a bit of
then
text at the end, which we can chat about. But
he left. She left too.
everybody's great.
Yay.
Hey,
I didn't like Hitchcock for doing that. I didn't think he was up for doing those happy endings. But anyway, we'll get to our feelings about that in a second. So he heads home and's talking with his mother in the kitchen.
have you tried killing them all?
Have this knife.
This was before Psycho, I think. 3 years before Psycho or something, was it?
Oh, was it?
Yeah, a few years. I think 60 something was Psycho. I can't remember. I was looking at it now. I can't remember. I think it was like 63. So it was a few years in between.
Vera Miles, who plays Rose, plays
She's in Psycho as well. She plays one of the two
sister.
girls. Yeah.
Who's the protagonist at the end of the movie. She gets everything sorted or whatever.
She doesn't get.
Yeah, she doesn't get. Her sister does.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's at home with mother and pray for strength. And then zoom into Jesus and he's moving his lips, and this is where
Jesus is moving his lips.
Fuck yourself, Manny. I'm not. I don't exist. Yeah, so this is where the overlay. So it zooms into Henry Fonda's face where he's whispering a prayer.
Jesus Christ! Oh, Jesus Christ!
Oh, for
Jesus
fuck's
Christ.
sake, Father! Fucking hell, Father!
Yeah, it's a nice transition, and I think for the time, fantastic. Until you realise the criminal's face looks nothing like Manny.
It looks like Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy did it.
Cillian Murphy, time traveler extraordinaire.
Oh, asshole.
Yeah. So we transition to Cillian Murphy going into holding up the store, and the mom and pop who run this.
I love the
great.
old lady.
Yeah. She's.
Oh, you got a gun? I got a knife.
Yeah.
I'll stab my foot really loudly so that nobody can hear and sneak up behind you.
And fuck you up.
I love the way the two elders take him down.
Yeah, it's great. He's not really a good robber.
No. Well, I think that's the first time somebody must have tackled him. Because I'm guessing somebody did tackle him for this to be part of the real story. And I love it that it was old people.
They probably dramatized it to be not boring like the rest of the story.
To be honest, it's not that exciting either.
No, it's not really. No. So they call. Actually, Fonda, Manny gets called from his double bass. He's going boom, boom, boom. Oh, they want you down the precinct. Boom. Fuck
I get
that.
to quit early. See you, losers.
Yeah, see ya. No bass line for you guys for the rest of the night. So he heads up to the cop shop and he hears the lineup that he went through, and they collared him. The two idiot ladies from the insurance agency going.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And they walk out all smiling and see him, and it's like, it's good. It's a walk of shame, basically.
What annoys me is they look, sheepish. And then they kind of leg it out the door. Not even a word of apology.
No, one of them's like, definitely, but one of them does a little double take and tries to make a little face of contrition, but not.
Yeah, but then
not
she
full.
legs it.
She legs it too. She's embarrassed as fuck. I just don't know. I just hate them as people. They're just like idiots.
Well, they ruined a man's life and
for a day.
family's life, in fact.
For definitely.
And then what actually annoys me more is the detective that comes out, because he was kind of the one that copped it, apparently.
Right.
And he walked. Okay, Manny.
Okay, Manny.
No, it's not fucking okay.
Yeah, he shakes his hand.
Up. My wife is in an institution because of you. Not doing your job.
Shakes his hand and everything's fine between them two. The only words he has is for the doppelganger.
Yeah. You know what you did to my wife? I would have decked the
Exactly.
feckin' detective. I'm going to prison. Feck it.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah, I already did 1 day. I can do 2 months for thumping
Because,
a guy in
in
the
fairness,
face.
the detective would have it coming. He ruined this man's life.
So what you wanted was the detective comes out, he decks him, and then the doppelganger comes out, he decks him too, and he goes, "Fuck everybody."
Yeah, pulls out a gun. Yeah.
Then he goes, "It's him. It was him. The doppelganger did it."
He did it here. He put a gun in his hand.
Put the gun in his hand. Yeah, that would have been
Maybe
great.
some emotion here, other than slightly sneering at the bad guy, going, "You know what you did to my wife?
He's like going, "What did I do to your wife?
Who are
Was she one
you?"
of the bank?" Who are you? You don't look anything like me. Should I know you?
Yeah, it's some emotion in this movie would have been nice because
Yeah, it's pretty flat
lots
all the
of
way.
bad stuff has been done to him. He is allowed to be annoyed, not just. I'm slightly miffed at you. Do you know what you did to my wife?
Let me tell you.
Let me tell you. Yeah, she's in an institution for the rest of her life. Thank you.
Bye bye. Anyway, so he transitioned to wifey rubbing her arm because she's still insane, and he's like coming in with the newspaper because he's acquitted.
Yeah,
She's just
everything's
trying.
great. I do like that the super Hollywood ending didn't happen. That he shows her this and then she breaks out of her stupor. That doesn't happen. So
Yeah, like the Forgotten Weekend sort of alludes to that when he's. It's the Forgotten Weekend, right?
the
The
lost
Lost
weekend,
Weekend.
yeah.
Why do I have the Forgotten
The
whatever?
forgotten man.
Forgotten Man, the wrong man, the quiet man, whatever. We've got too many men in
Too
our
many
movie,
men. The
too many
Birdman.
episodes. Birdman, Repo Man, Man Called Ove. Uh, so yeah, so she doesn't respond. She's like, "That doesn't matter where I am. That's fine for you."
Nothing can help me now. You can
It's
go
like
now.
you can go now. And then the nurse comes in and she's like really evil in the like she's
Nurse
like, "All right,
Ratchet.
time to go, time to
Thanks,
go."
Nurse Ratchet. Now, a bit of
Yeah.
surgery on your friend there.
So here's the deal. So it cuts to Manny and the nurse walking down the hallway, and you know the way in the '50s movies, you know it's the end of the movie because the quality of the film turns into like a blur, and you go, "Oh, this is the last scene."
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, this is an anti-Hollywood bad ending. They're just going to walk down and it's the end. But no, it's a stupid written, what's it called? Post-log? Whatever.
Sure.
Because it's not prologue, it's post-log. And it goes, 2 years later, Rose walked out completely healed. They moved to Miami and lived happily ever after or something like that. But the first bit's the same. I was like, oh, fuck off.
See, I don't think it's that Hollywood, if I'm honest, because
It is. It's a Hollywood in written format.
it's 2 years in an institution, which isn't awesome. That's not Hollywood ending to me.
It is because we don't need it. We don't need to learn 2 years later she walked out.
We just want to leave it flat and no
The
no
entire movie was
no
flat.
exposition of what happens next.
The entire movie was flat. Why
It
change
was.
it
It
up?
was. In fairness,
Why did he respect the story as truth throughout the movie and then change it to be a happy ending at the end?
do we
I
know he
heard that
changed it? Though is my question. Do we know that she spends the rest of her life
she
in
didn't.
said institution?
Let's just say she didn't walk out completely
She got
healed.
catapulted out. Way.
Yeah. No, I know from reading up shit for the little I read up that she didn't get healed. I don't know if she ever did. I think she died before him in the 80s sometime.
That's happy story.
But you found out that
Vera Miles
Vera
still
Miles is
kicking.
still alive.
Yeah,
Born August 23rd, 1929, and there is no death date for her yet, so fingers
she's
crossed
coming
she's
up in
still with
100.
us.
That's a impressive
I
innings.
should have reached out to her. All right, Vera.
Give her a heart attack live.
Oh shit.
Oh, I can't release this. How do we edit around that bit?
Actually, that's interesting. Oh yeah, no. So right, okay. She had 4 spouses. Fair play to you, love, and 4 children. She
Wow.
lives in Boise City, Oklahoma.
And spouse number 5. Looking for spouse number 6.
Yeah, always on the lookout. Okay, so that is the wrong man. So basically, the entire movie is what it says on the label of the tin. It was the wrong man all along.
There's no
Nothing
suspense.
really dramatic helps. Nothing really dramatic happens. Uh,
The only minor-ish twist slash reveal is that they did actually catch the right man eventually by mistake, kind of.
I guess, but that reveal isn't. He tried to make it interesting with the overlaying of the faces, but that reveal is sort of like, oh, it was the wrong man after all. Oh.
I think the core of this is like a lot of, to me, some of the elements of this movie are quite good, but the story's just not interesting enough.
Yeah, I think the based on reality angle has changed his suspense approach.
Yes, yes.
Or maybe he didn't have the suspense approach yet that he learned later on.
So I
But I
think
guess he
he'd
had.
done quite a bit of
Yeah,
thrillers at this point.
yeah. So, what are you giving for plot? Plot.
Plot will be. I have two numbers written down. And I'm fighting in my head over them. 2.25 and 3.
You fucking
I'm,
maniac.
I'm trying to decide whether or not I should up the score, and I'm thinking no, based on the fact that it's reality. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it at 2.5.
2.5.
It's okay. It's reality. Because it's reality, it gets a little nudge, but not much.
I'll go with your original. I'll go for 2.25. I'll give it slightly below average. It's just not exciting enough for me. It's just not twisty and turny. It's not. It's the reality plot makes it boring. It's flat.
Yeah, if it was just based loosely on reality, it might have been much more interesting. But I think they spent too much effort making it reality, which
Yeah, I think you need to have brought like a bunch of flesh-eating crows and seagulls into the plot. Get the fuck. The
yes,
mother should have done it. The mother should have been this weird character who put his father up
Manny
to it.
was the mother
I had a
all
twin
along.
brother. I had a twin son. I had to get rid of him. He's so evil. You don't remember him because I got you electric shocked in that place where your wife is.
Yeah, that would have been
He
an interesting
left.
twist.
He left the home at 8 years old,
8 a.m.
and at 8 a.m. when he was 8 years old on the 8th of September, and yeah, so that's who has been holding up these things. And I know his address, and you should go there and bring him to the police. And then they have
Hit him with a
this.
brush.
Then Hitchcock has to make this like Henry Fonda versus Henry Fonda fight scene, and like imagine how much fun he
Fonda
would have with that.
off.
Fonda off.
Now I watched the
That's
shit
it.
out of that.
That's what we should have. We're remaking this movie tomorrow. Fonda off.
Brilliant.
Moving on to acting. So we've got Henry Fonda's subdued, passive performance, and we've got Vera Miles as quite this, homely wife who's quite lovely, and then she turns into this sort of another subdued character, and as her mental health deteriorates. So
You have
we've
Quayle
got
doing a
those
decent
two
job as well.
things. Yes, I liked it. I think he was pretty good, but Henry Fonda's face is quite expressionless. But he's sort of, does he do enough to bring this movie along to give that sense of helplessness and dread?
He does as much as he physically can, though, which is. I give the acting 3 in this. I think he does a good job with his face. All the heavy lifting is done in his face because the dialogue is mostly boring. There's only so much you can do with a boring reality.
Yeah, I'll copy with that. I think it's probably up there with the strongest part of the movie. I think production, I guess, will be pretty high as well.
Yeah.
Soundtrack track, we've got the Bernard Herrmann score, which is very unforgettable. He did obviously Psycho, and doesn't really do anything here. It is just 2-note thing, as I said before. Minimal sound design, does that help it?
Doesn't help me.
Suspenseful? No, it didn't help me.
2.75. Like there are elements where he's trying to ratchet up tension with a ever decreasing
circles
of a piece of noise going. But
waka.
I think that might have been when they were wobbling the camera, but it didn't fit. So sound is decent. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'll go 2.5 for average, just because it's average, and I'll give him credit for inventing Psycho later on. Production. So we've got Hitchcock shooting in real scenarios. We've got sort of, cinematography is very good. It's sort of
It is.
some handheld quite a lot. Lighting.
I thought some of the shots taken, like these are real world places, but it's very well shot considering that, because most of the time Hitchcock would have had a set after this anyway. So I think using New York the way he does a great job of it actually. So cinematography is fantastic, and the choice
It
of
is.
contrast is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't go over the top either, which it could easily
Right,
have done.
true. We needed a balance there. But having said that, the conjunction between the plot and production, the plot is quite lame and slow and plodding and not a bit flatlined, and some of his production values, tries to ratchet it up a bit sometimes, like the
He's
wobbliness.
dragged down to reality by the mundane story.
Good, good. That's a nice, well done. So yeah, so some things just clashed, and I think that's just down to the
Yeah.
non dramatized, fictionalized approach to this. So production, even though it's really good in times, I'll give it a 3.25, just because it's got some good 1957 innovative paradigm shifting techniques that we're sort of used to today, but you have to kind of look at it and go, this is Hitchcock in the 50s. He's finding his groove, doing something cool. And I think maybe without this movie, he might not have been able to do a lot of the stuff later on.
Yeah, I'll throw it a 3.5. I think there's some very interesting pieces of camera work in this. As you say, it is kind of at war with the boring story a little bit, but
Yeah.
I'll forgive it and just say I've scored it on the score accordingly, so I'm not going to drag production down because of that poop.
Yeah. Poop. A.H. Weiler in the New York Times gave it 50. He simply says, frighteningly authentic, the story generates only a modicum of drama.
Yep.
Yeah. But we have staff not credited in the TV Guide magazine gave it 100. Said the bleakest of Hitchcock's films, this stark, deliberate probing of a man wrongfully accused is almost wholly based on fact, creating its drama from a celebrated New York City case. That's sort of, I wonder, did Roger Ebert do anything here? Blah, 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 blah. No. So, we've, the New Yorker gave it 60 and said it's got an almost Kafka-esque nightmare realism to it, but the storyline wanders diffusely instead of tightening, and the developments become tedious.
Fully agree.
Yeah. Pauline Kael is a bit more smarter than us, I guess, in writing stuff.
If you can write down Kafka, that means you're smart, I've heard.
Yeah, Kafka-esque indeed. Indeed. Right, so shall we wrongfully accuse this episode of robbery and send it to prison?
Absolutely.
I thought that was a pretty good one, actually. Not the movie, just my line there.
Changing your
Okay.
score.
Yeah. Right, so that's 109 done.
110,
Next
baby.
episode will be 110, and we'll go through a random recap of our movies 101 to 109, and it's been an interesting decade. Some highs,
Some
some
lows.
lows, some mediums, and it's just another decade of episodes in the can.
Boom.
Literally.
Ship it.
Yeah, ship it. All right, so if you haven't reviewed or subscribed to us on any of the platforms that you're listening to us on, please do so, and rate us if you haven't already. I know there's probably 80% of our listeners haven't actually reviewed our bloody things, because I look at the analytics. Can you please do something? Help us out. Actually, I don't know what that will do for us, but
Nothing.
it won't do anything for us, but it'll make us feel better if we see a number going up by 1.
Yes.
That would be nice. Yeah. All right, so we'll see you in episode 110 for a random recap of movies 101 to 109. Cheerio.
Ta-ra.